Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Chronicles of the Dark Lord, Episode 1, Tides of Fate, Part 26. Yeah, um, as you can tell, this video is an hour and 8 seconds long, so, it's, yeah, we're in for the long haul here, people. This was me. A little while ago, right there, I decided I was gonna go ahead and, try out Jelina's new, the Thunderburst, the Thunderstrike. And see what all that did. And I liked how it worked. And you know, oh, this is just mostly me grinding, doing stuff. Just for the first 15 minutes or so, I think it's just gonna be me grinding. So I'm gonna find something else to talk about. How that'll be a little more interesting because I had all this interesting Castlevania commentary. But I wound up burning through all of that in my um in the beginning of my last video. Oh, that was pretty much all I talked about was my experience with Symphony of the Night. And I had a few other things I was gonna talk about. I was gonna get like a guest commentator here so that we could you know what actually hold on a minute. Just see if Tommy gets back to me on that. And one of the old hosts of Generations Gaming. If not, you know, fine. But right now, I'm just gonna run around on TV tropes looking at stupid stuff. We could talk about other things today. Like we went to the fair today. The conditions they had the animals in were deplorable. Um, Especially the cattle. Well, it looked like they hadn't cleaned the stalls out in about a day or two, and you know the the rabbits and the poultry all looked like they didn't have all their water was completely empty. Most of them, and you know, for a lot of them, they didn't have any food, and the pig pens were especially bad. Looked like they hadn't been cleaned out for a little while longer than that. It was kind of kind of sad. I mean, they had these two huge chickens in this one cage, and there's like the cage wasn't big enough for one of them, much less both of them. And that was kind of disheartening. The rabbit the amount of rabbits they had is extremely small compared to the amount they had last year. They had like less than a row and a quarter Because like what they do is they have these double. They have two layers of rows, one one slightly offset um, above the other, so that um, when they urinate and defecate, they it doesn't go down onto the other animals. But they had one row of about 10 cages full, and then they had about um, one row of not 10 cages, but maybe about 20, and then they had about five cages above that, and they didn't have very many rabbits. Although there was this one, this little tiny gray one, and was he very adorable. Well, it would come up to the edge of the cage and look around, and drink some water, or look at everybody. Um, there was a one cow that would come up to the edge of her pen and look at the people, let them pet her, and there was this one goat was like staring wide-eyed at everybody. Like it was almost in awe of everything, and it was pretty cool. And and then there was this whole little bunch of newborn, or at least not necessarily newborn, but had been born fairly recently. Uh, Rabbits all huddled up together in a little ball of fur, and that was just adorable as could be. I wish I had pictures of that, but I didn't think to take my 3DS with me. And or any kind of camera for that matter. And then we walked around on the inside of the inside booths, checked out what all was there. Got a backpack full of like pencils and brochures and books. One book, really. And then we went over to check out the crafts and found that the judging didn't happen until 7, and this was like 7 p.m. and this was like 4 o'clock that we were 4 o'clock that we were going over there, and we weren't about to wait 3 hours just to see some stupid crafts that they pretty much got the same thing there every year. They change it up if occasionally where somebody has submitted something interesting, but it's essentially just the same thing year in year out. I wouldn't expect much else from middle and nowhere Mississippi like this, but well, then we were on our drive home, and the city right next, because we live in between two uh, larger cities there. We live in Goshen, Mississippi, and we got Ocean Springs off to the east, and no, off to the west, and Pascagoula off to the east, and Pascagoula seems to have doesn't seem to have recovered at all uh, from Katrina. Hurricane Katrina was like that was like 9 years ago now. Oh, and they've still got a lot of stuff closed and a lot of things empty. And I figure that'll probably account for a lot of the lameness of it. The fact that they don't have very many people there to do stuff. You know, I've seen several different kinds of fairly whoa, somebody's calling me up on Skype. And yeah, they had it's like it was either they had this Batmobile there, and it was really impressive looking. It was there one year. This was like 4 or 5 years ago that I saw it there, and then it was there the next year, and then it was there the year after that, and the year after that, and it was there for like 2 or 3 years in a row, and and well, I just kept wondering every time I saw it there, does somebody keep submitting this to the fair, or did they just not pick it up and did somebody like lose the key to the case that it's in? And I get I used to get like Lego catalogs in the mail all the time, and I like looking through them because they've got they're quite a bit more. Because like when you want like the comics and stuff, Lego Magazine is nice, but when you want like information about the actual products and the lineups and whatnot, I like to go for the and like round round 360 views, pretty good pictures of them. I like to go for the Lego catalogs because sorry, dusty in here, drying me out. And like one year, like the immediately after like the same year I saw that Batmobile there, I got a Lego catalog, and it showed me that same Batmobile, and I was thinking, well, did somebody like what it, why didn't they catch the oh good, my old Lego account still works. Why didn't they catch like the like do they have an actual like criteria for that, because that seems like something that would sort of be against the rules. I mean, the Batmobile is pretty. It's pretty extensive. And it's like I've got this one, this gunship, this Lego gunship, and it took me like 2 days to build, and then somehow I screwed up when I was building it. It took me 2 days to rebuild, and mm, it well, what I was thinking was, is it like not against the rules for somebody to submit a pre-built set like that? On a place like this, I wouldn't bet on it. Excuse me. Mm. Mm. Right now, I'm just looking on the Lego website. They used to have some really cool, like they had this one RTS that I used to really like. On there, it was like a Mars mission type of thing, and it was pretty neat. It was like the original Warcraft, only a little more elaborate. And yeah, what did I tell you? The first quarter of this video is just me grinding. Mm. Oh god, my it's kind of dusty here. My eyes are getting a little bit dry. Ooh. Hold on, I gotta go. I gotta go grab myself a glass of water. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm just looking around on TV tropes here now. By the way, I'm back if you couldn't tell. And I'm looking on the Love Makes You Evil uh, page, and it's got a picture of Anakin Skywalker and Padme, i.e., Revenge of the Sith, and it's uh, I don't like that movie. For a completely different reason than a lot of people don't like the prequels. I didn't mind. I didn't actually mind. Yeah. Um, the first two. I didn't mind Phantom Menace or the Clone Wars. Attack of the Clones. I also didn't mind the Clone Wars either. Or I actually kind of liked the Clone Wars because it was completely. It essentially ignored um the fact that Revenge of the Sith ever happened, and it also ignored a lot of the stupider aspects of the prequels as well. But yeah, and I've heard people try to justify Anakin turning evil as like, you know, he'd do anything to protect her. Well, yeah, but he'd do anything to protect Padme, but yeah, but he's also not stupid enough to not. It's like, okay, first off, he isn't uh he isn't calm enough to not have just flat out murdered um Darth Sidious when he knew that uh just flat out execute him. He's not calm enough to have done that. He went off on a rampage um on the Sand People when his mother died. For Christ's sake, he the Sith. Excuse me, the Sith killed Qui Gon Jinn. That he wouldn't trust them for that. The Sith almost killed Obi-Wan God knows how many times. The Sith have tried to kill him who knows how many times. And it's just like they try to put all this expanded universe stuff together, and it just makes it even worse. It just makes Anakin turning evil make even less sense. You remember that time I reviewed? You might not if you don't read my. If you're not going on my website and looking at stuff and my reviews and stuff, but for May the 4th, I reviewed um, Star Wars Wild Space, one of my very favorite books of all time, and mm, and you know, I mentioned in that review that I thought that you know, the way they characterized Anakin and the way they care and the kind of hell that this Sith put Obi-Wan through would just compound the reasons as just keeps piling on the reasons as to why Anakin wouldn't turn dark, why he wouldn't join the Sith. Um, Chief among them being that they have killed uh his mentor slash father figure, Qui-Gon, and they have killed God knows how many of his friends, and um, they've tried to kill him. They've tried to kill his wife. They've tried to kill um, pretty much everybody um, in the entire galaxy who wouldn't follow them. And I don't really think that Anakin would be stupid enough to think that. Just let me sum this up for you. Wild Space has Obi-Wan being given hallucinations by the Sith. Now, with that information in hand, uh, you know, that it makes no sense as to why Anakin would believe that the visions he was getting were visions of the future. And, you know, I don't. The downward spiral um, was far too abrupt. And their attempts to make it less abrupt just made it even less sensible. Oh. And while we're on that subject of selling your soul to the devil, one more day. And for that matter, Civil War. I've heard that Marvel maybe, we've all heard the news. Marvel may be making a Marvel Civil War movie. Now, if they are, I sincerely hope that it's not a civil war between the superheroes, who's like it was in the comics, because that was one of the most retarded storylines in the history of anything. they essentially just, even one of the writers admitted that it was just a reason to have a bunch of characters who wouldn't normally be fighting fight. And that's they had the first stupid thing they did to Spider-Man in that he revealed his secret identity. Second, he didn't even have. It's like the whole reason I got that graphic novel was because I thought that the Iron Spider suit was awesome. Excuse me. And I wanted to see it actually put to use. But, in the actual compilation graphic novel, there was hardly anything uh or it was hardly ever seen. And then he discarded it after he joined the anti-registration movement. And you know, um I can see why something like that would cause a massive conflict, but I can't see why the participants uh, would side the way they did. I mean, Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man on the side of superhero registration. I mean, come on, you know, to, and then there's and then they kill off Ultimate Spider-Man, and then they kill off um main series Spider-Man. I know they brought him back. I think they brought him back, but that's still not um not good. I mean, they're killing off a lot of people who weren't supposed to die. But I mean, this is like they're killing off Wolverine, which that's not gonna. That's. I mean, we all know none of this stuff is gonna stay permanent. It hasn't been. I mean, this whole thing was a big deal back when Jean Grey died, but superhero deaths haven't been permanent in a long time. But it's just like they've been doing all this stupid crap to the main series Marvel has, and it's worse than DC because I tried to follow the Blackest Night thing, but it was spread across so many different. It's like I tried following it when it first started up, but then I just sort of fell away from it because I stopped reading comics about that time. But then and later on I decided to get back into it, and it might just be the graphic novel selection we have at the local library, but I wasn't able to follow it very well. Probably because it was steeped in like 20 years of comic history because that's the last time they rebooted the universe. Again, to my knowledge, I might not be wrong. I might not be right here. Mm, mm, excuse me. And all right, right here in the video is when I tried to do an impression of Linkara's Superboy Prime for Activian, and that was about the time that I found out that I cannot do Linkara's Superboy Prime. And I'm okay with that. I'm better with other voices. But yeah, then Aunt May got shot, and then they had the one more day thing, and that's utterly retarded. I mean, you don't borrow a vial of Wolverine's blood. You don't ask. Oh, I don't know. Mr. Fantastic, who literally built the stairway to heaven, banged on God's door, and demanded they bring Ben Grimm back. They could have. Isn't isn't Marvel in the same universe? Like, wasn't Marvel the one? Isn't Marvel the one that publishes Transformers comics? Um, they could have asked Optimus Prime if he could, if the Transformers, if the Autobots had like advanced medical technology. Let's look here. Transformers comics. I can't remember who publishes them these days. I think they did a couple of crossovers with Marvel back in the day. Um, okay, IDW is the one that publishes them now. Okay, yeah, I think that they're also the ones that publish GI Joe, the GI Joe comics. Um, Aunt May got shot because Spider-Man revealed his identity, which is something that Tony would never ask Spider-Man to. Tony would never ask Peter to do. I don't think. Specifically because Tony would probably be on the side of anti-registration, and Marvel actually solved this better than anything I can come up with. Because they had a what if that should have been the main how it was resolved in universe, where they went through with the superhero registration thing, but Captain America becomes head of Shield, and he's like Superman. He's honest enough that everybody trusts him, and nobody has any problem trusting him. And that's like the. I'm not gonna top that. I can't come up with he with anything that would compete with that. Nobody can. And in fact, they should have just made that the whole main universe thing. I think at like this point I started making some I started doing some pretty cool voices like I put on this voice for Magus or something like that. And it was sort of like an impression of Yami from Yu-Gi-Oh. Hmm. But yeah, excuse me. And then I read One More Day, and I was like, why? Why do you make a deal with the devil? I mean, it worked out for Ghost Rider. He's, immortal, and he's on fire, so that's a plus. Plus, he's the freaking Ghost Rider, or and he that that's that's pretty cool. But you know, when first off, when um their execution was horrible. They They could have done like you know, Peter and Mary Jane never got married. Okay, but that doesn't mean they don't. They that doesn't mean they have to not. They could have just reset the relationship to what it to kind of what it was in the Spider-Man movies. He's or whatever. Leave it open and let it. Don't just let it go like that. And they uh I there's a reason why I stopped reading comic books. And it's because um they always somebody is always going to screw something up whenever they get a new writer or something in. And mm, and they I what was I just saying? Um yeah, the reason why I stopped reading comic books was that they a lot of them have all this freaking backstory to them. They have a lot of backstory, and a lot of it's completely uh, irrelevant until somebody decides to make a joke or to have another character show up from somewhere else, and and you got to go back and read, and it's even worse in connected universes, is where it's um, or like Marvel and DC, where they have constant crossovers and things like that, and they've got constant references to other events and characters, and that would be fine if they would package them in linear order, uh, by with you know with all of the things, not just the titles in a certain series, but do sort of like take them like a whole certain month's comics worth of comics, and publish them in a or at least tell you what all everything works with, what all everything what all order everything is in, and not just in the go read this to find out more sense, but it's like I mostly read comic books when they get put in collections, and or rather I used to, and that when part of the story is in a completely different collection that the library doesn't have, it's kind of annoying to me. I mean, I'd appreciate it if they just put together or go to the beginning and publish everything in like the whole collection, the whole storyline, and certain things together in like a linear fashion. Take like The Walking Dead, for instance. It doesn't have any crossover things, but it's still published in collection format. And if they took like that and did like that and arranged them in like a decent timeline that doesn't break your brain, that would be nice. Do like Marvel whatever from whatever uh Marvel or DC, year whatever to year whenever, or something like that. Excuse me, and not just by series or by character, but by year and by release date. So that I don't have to go looking everything up. And especially a lot of the problem with Marvel stuff is that they haven't rebooted the universe. They're the whole Marvel universe is 50 years old, and I go back to the comic books that were published in the 1960s, and be it lower standards or the comics code or whatever. Uh, they're practically unreadable. Most of them are practically unreadable. In fact, a lot of them from the 1970s are barely readable as well. Although some of them from the 70s are actually better than others. To me personally, I don't, and that goes for television shows as well. Because for me personally, uh, I don't watch a lot of stuff that was released before like the 1980s because be it for whatever reason, a lot of the versions you can find of it are really bad, and because some of the stuff is fallen into public domain one way or another, and it's just like uh, no name distribution company, he can just pound out the DVDs by the truckload. But some of the stuff is because it's like not very good. A lot of it, it doesn't hold up. It doesn't work anymore. Like a lot of 50s and 60s, take it for that matter, 70s sitcoms are pretty bad. Although that's not saying that sitcoms from every decade uh, haven't had more than their fair share of stupid. But that also goes for like older science fiction in series like Star Trek. I don't particularly like the original Star Trek. It's a little too it's a little too much like the Twilight Zone. There's too many mind screw things in it. There's too many things that just are unpalatable to watch. You know, I prefer I prefer the Next Generation. The only thing that I've really gotten into related to the original series are the first six movies, and then J.J. Abrams' Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, and I really like those. Into Darkness was essentially a remake of The Wrath of Khan, but it was a really good remake of The Wrath of Khan, so that balances out pretty good. And I think I've seen pretty much every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation that there's ever been, because it used to be on like every night, and we used to watch it because Star Trek. It was the only thing on that was any good in that time slot, and it was Star Trek: The Next Generation. We saw the first season on DVD, then we saw the second season on DVD, and then we saw most of the rest of it on TV. I think there might be like a handful of episodes I haven't seen, but we cleared out one of those recently because we saw both parts of The Best of Both Worlds. I think it was called, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was called The Best of Both Worlds. Because we saw the first the first part of it on TV, and then the channel we were watching it on cut out right as it was about to be, right as it was about to start uh, airing part two the next day. And speaking of Star Trek: The Next Generation, I we've seen all four of the Star Trek: The Next Generation movies. Star Trek Generations, Star Trek First Contact, which I think is the best of them all, Star Trek Insurrection, which was pretty good, and Star Trek Nemesis. Now, long before I saw the movie Star Trek Nemesis, I read the book based on it. And I didn't particularly like it because, okay, going down the line, the Enterprise blows up. Okay, no, the Enterprise doesn't blow up, but it does get blown to bits. Uh, Data dies. Data is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. Riker leaves. I like Riker. I kind of like Riker. He's not, he's he's good to have around. Oh, he's a staple of the show, and and also, uh, well, that's it actually, because it's got a fairly decent plot. There's a conspiracy going on, stuff like that. There's this big super weapon that could destroy everything if they don't stop it. But, you know, why did Data have to die? Why couldn't they have just reassembled Lore and sent him in there? Or with some programming. Or better yet, just use the B4. I mean, they had the B4. Just reprogram the B4 and send that guy in. And so I mean, I know they brought Data back. I mean, it was the same reason I wasn't thrilled with Kirk's death in the end of Generations, but they also brought him back later on, and that'll bring me to a subject I want to bring up later on in this video. The fact that Kirk has died. Let's see, he was declared dead in the original series, then he was presumed dead in Generations, then he actually died in Generations. And then in the Star Trek novels, he was brought back. And then he was presumed dead again. And then they found him again. And then he was presumed dead again. That's like 5 or 6 times that he's... yeah, that's 5 or 6 times that he's been brought back from the dead. Excuse me. And that's kind of ridiculous in a series such as Star Trek. But then again, I guess I shouldn't question why all of the original Star Trek cast are still alive in the Next Generation. But never mind. And I wasn't thrilled with the way that Nemesis ended, but it wasn't horrible. The book was a lot better than the movie. The way the book ended was a lot better than the way the movie ended, especially with the pacing of everything, because the book paced things out a lot better, while the movie rushed things along. And also, Shinzon looks nothing like Patrick Stewart. his head's too small, and he also looks nothing at all like Patrick Stewart. I don't know who they could have gotten better. Maybe the guy they got was the best they could do with, but that I just don't like that. It's obvious, It's really obvious on screen, but in the book you could imagine that he looks exactly like Patrick Stewart. And then in the I've heard that the movie was cut down significantly so that they could focus on the action between the Enterprise and Shinzon's ship. I think his name is Shinzon. On Shin. Oh, who cares? It's Star Trek Nemesis. Who cares? And this I don't know why you would want to bother drawing attention to that. That just draws attention to the fact that uh, Data died. Yeah, I really don't. I'm just trying to think here what else. Yeah, I haven't really watched any other Star Trek series because I've heard that Deep Space Nine was pretty good. I read one of the Deep Space Nine books. I thought it was decent. Um, Tried to watch Voyager once, but it was really bad. I've read one of the Voyager books, and that was pretty good. But I heard that Voyager um, went downhill fairly heavily and got derailed fairly badly. And that's I don't want to witness another Alien 3. You know what I mean? So I just realized um they should have either stopped making Star Trek movies with either First Contact or Insurrection. No, Insurrection, I think. And then just waited and then rebooted the whole series. Um and they should have either stopped making alien movies with aliens or uh not kept throwing out the script. Or maybe they should have because maybe maybe the script to Alien 3 was significantly worse before then. I don't know, but the premise was a lot better. But it's and then at one point we watched all the Die Hard movies. Die Hard 1, good. Die Hard 2, okay, pretty good. Wasn't Die Hard 1, but it was pretty good. Die Hard 3, okay, that's nice. Live Free, Die Hard. It was terrible. I mean, I have definitely seen worse movies. I've seen worse sequels, certainly. I mean, the Alien 3, certainly. I mean, that killed off all of the main characters from the last movie completely negated the whole point of the last movie uh, in pretty much the opening. Because, Live Free Die Hard was at least start. I've heard that the uncut version was a lot better, but um, that it was originally going to be more like one of the other Die Hard movies, but then executive meddling screwed it up, and sort of like Alien 3. But and then I watched the fifth Die Hard movie, and I was like, well, it's not great. Certainly not the original. It's not Die Hard 2. I mean, it's not Die Hard. It's not Die Harder, and it's not Die Hard with a Vengeance. But it's a lot better than, um, uh, you know, Live Free Die Hard, which turned John McClane essentially stupid. Now, I'm not a fan of what they did to John McClane's daughter in Die Hard 5. Personally, I think she should have gone along with him. I mean, she was established as a major badass in Die Hard, with a Live Free Die Hard, and and if you're going in to rescue, if you're hauling, and if you're gonna go rescue your family, why don't you why do you just send one guy? I know John McClane is badass, but why is his daughter not going with him? Why didn't she at least sneak over to Russia? I mean, unless that was like a different daughter or something, like unless I'm seriously missing something with the characters here, I'm pretty sure that that was the same girl, one that she should have gone over to Russia with John to save her brother, and that could have worked. Would have made for a really good movie. But no, they wasted it. And it was a nice return to form. I mean, I'm fully in support of Die Hard 6. If they, take it and go, just like go full on Die Hard. Just do like Die Hard 2 and 3 did. Take the same idea and put it somewhere else. Don't just keep expanding the scope of it. And try to make it interesting again. Okay? Part of the reason why Alien Isolation was so good was because you were in constant danger of being killed by something. And part of the reason that Die Hard was good was that, John McClane was just one guy against a bunch. And, Die Hard 3. This is an entire city. How we got to go around this whole city and try to find everything and find out where this one guy and his people are. And then Die Hard 2, who these guys have control of control of the planes, and he's got to keep them from crashing all of them. And the planes are also running out of fuel. You know, it kind of worked. It worked, you know, and was, you know, um, Die Hard. Die Hard 5 was more like doing going off like on a. It was more like they were going off and doing something and like a. It was sort of like a power trip kind of thing, you know. Well, as opposed to, um, what Die Hard is supposed to be. But I mean, it's like if you're gonna watch all of them, don't stop with Die Hard, Live Free, Die Hard. Watch Die Hard 5 as well because that's a lot better. But and it's like with Alien, if you're gonna bother watching all of them, don't stop with Alien 3. Go on to Alien Resurrection because that'll you need something to wash the taste out of your mouth. But seriously, no, skip Prometheus because that wait for an extended cut because I think that movie was cut down as well. If you're new to the series, if you're new to like Alien or Die Hard, watch 1, 2, and 3. E for Die Hard, forget the last two, and if you're new to Alien, watch the first two. Pretend the last three don't exist. For all I know, the extended cuts might be better, but um, you know, don't put yourself through it if you don't have to. I should probably wrap this in. I've already gone a couple minutes over the video time. Put up like the box art again, and like I did last time. This was gonna force me to edit in Windows Movie Maker, and I don't like using Movie Maker anymore. And I know that Virtual Dub will let you do some things that can extend the time of the video, but it's not as easy to do as it is in Movie Maker, and Movie Maker is actually a little bit you can actually tell when you've extended the time of the video. Virtual Dub is nice, but I use it mainly for encoding and not editing. Editing, I use Movie Maker, but yeah, I should probably wrap it up now. See you later with more Chronicles of the Dark Lord, Episode 1, Tides of Fate.